G'day, this is Brian Nash from How We Got Here Genealogy, and how are you doing today? So, what are we going to be doing this Thursday, March 4th? I'm going to be answering some of your questions. There is a form in the description here, and this form will be up as soon as I put up my next live cast stream and schedule. The form will be active on that, which I'll probably put this up shortly after this stream, if not sometime tomorrow. I'm still testing around time to see what works best. So put in the chat if you're watching this live or if you're watching it in replay. It's really appreciated. So I'm going to answer one question today that I already have. So like I said, if you have anything more, do put it in there, that form, and I will try to get to it. This question actually came to me at the end of the last podcast, and it was a little bit of research. I tried to get in touch with him this week because I wanted to talk a little bit more. But this is from Niek Brokema, who is looking for some information about I want to say his, I think it's his third or fourth grandfather. So he's just trying to figure out a few things. He shared his trees that he has with me on this, so we're going to take a look. I unfortunately don't have some really good news for Nick, but when I'm doing this is an example of some of the things that can cause some issues there. So Nick, his last name is Brokema, and that's Brokema, which is of a Dutch background. So he's looking for he's doing research on 14 different families who originated from the north of the Netherlands. One of the first to be mentioned is a John M. Senior Brokema, and I found it was he was married to Jean-Marie Israel Brokema in Canada in 1901. His parents, I expect, his father is Benjamin Brokema, son of a Jewish butcher born in 1832, and Utpella, Netherlands. Let me see here. So basically, he says that his parents, he gives their names, Benjamin and Henrietta Brokema. He was born in Antwerp, Belgium, about 1853 to 1855. His parents are from the Netherlands. In 1918, a brother, Joseph, in Antwerp is mentioned. I suspect his father is Benjamin Brokema, son of a Jewish butcher in Udma Pekela in the Netherlands. His father, Benjamin, is mentioned in a Dutch census in 1850, but after that, I can't find him. Did he move to Antwerp, got married, died there? When was Jean-Marie and John born, and his brother Joseph? And when did they come to Canada? So I have a little bit of different news for him that like I said, I think it's going to be disappointing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a few things here. So I'm just getting prepared to share my screen. And if you guys have any questions, do dump them in the chat in the meantime. I'll try to keep an eye on them. So the first thing I'm going to show here is the map of Canada. And this is just from Google Maps. It's going to come in a little handy here later as we kind of examine a few of the areas that he's looking at. So let's see what we have in his family tree. If it's a quick question, yeah, the answer, ask in the chat there. And hello, Vanessa. It's been a while. So when we're looking at this, John Sr., there's some things that kind of don't add up when I look at everything here. The first thing is we're going to look at him and look at his wife, and we're going to see some of the information that that Nick had provided in this family tree, and where there's possibly some issues with it. So I'm going to look specifically. He mentions in one of his records about his wife. There's some information about a Canadian census. So we're going to look at that in detail. So I'm actually going to go to his wife. Now he has her listed as Madeleine Ladouceur. Okay, so let's go to her. And we're going to look at a couple of the sources. So he has the Canadian census in 1881. Again, I usually like to review the census on the actual page. So let's look her up in the 1881 Canadian census. The Canadian census is really nice. It's to search. So I'm going to put in, and again, I'm going to put MA, and you'll see why in a minute here. So now the information that he has about her is that if we look at this little the little about, he has that she was born on 17th January in La Chute, Argenteuil, Quebec, Canada. Her father is Gilbert, so he gives some information about here. So this is the first thing we're going to look at, is she was born January 17th, 1874. So we're going to look at the census, which is one of the things he uses when he's talking about her in one of the sources. So we're going to look her up there. She was born in 1874, so we're going to put so 1881, she'd be about 7 years old. I always set a range a little higher and lower just because I try to go like within 5 years. I'm going to look in Quebec, but I'm also going to look in Ontario because that's where she actually winds up being. Okay. So there's our, sorry, I forgot to put the wild card. So there's where our issue is. So we have a few different ones. We have this Margaret Ladouceur is 9 years old, born in Pontiac, Quebec. Marie, and I could actually modify it here and put her gender as well, just to narrow it down. Now he's using this record here, so the one that he used, and we're going to compare it to it. Again, I like using the actual record we have. So he has her here, and it has all the family, and she is Ladouceur is right there. So we have Gilbert, and then we have Margaret, who appears to be a grandmother, I'm assuming. We have Anne, who I'm assuming is his wife. She's 23, so she's 14 years younger. It's not uncommon. So let's look for them as well when we're looking in here. So there's a few different Ladouceurs here. Let's start with MA. And they came up with 11 different ones in Quebec. Okay. but that's not the one he has. In his record here, he's actually looking at Ontario, and he's looking in Prescott, Ontario. Now, this is where the map kind of comes into it. So here is the Ottawa River, which basically separates Ontario and Quebec. The capital city of Canada, Ottawa, is on the Ontario side. And so we're looking for Prescott, which is it is a French area, but it is in Ontario, as is said here. So let's actually. So you see where we were. When we were in Prescott, sorry. This is the St. Lawrence River, which is what separates Canada and the United States. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at it's near where the Ottawa River sort of comes in. It's down here. It's close to Quebec, but not really. So it's not exactly Quebec, and as you can see, though, there's two Tim Hortons showing up all the way. That could very well, Vanessa, be Montreal. Yeah, we can take a look. But let's look at this. So the big thing here is when we are going to be looking now at the census, we're going to modify this again. And I had chosen Prince of Ryland before. I don't know why I did that. Must have been a slip of the finger. So when we look here, again, there she is, Madeleine. And this is the one that we're looking at. Like I said, the Canadian census has a lot of good information, and I'm going to do it just sort of give you in this 1881 census. You had the names, their gender, their age. It's in born. If it's born within the last 12 months, then it's the number of months, country or province of birthplace. So if they're born in Canada, it should have the province. If they're born outside Canada, it would have their country. The religion, their origin. Now, this would be their nationality. In later Canadian censuses, they call it race, but it's you'll depending in urban areas. You'll find they'll put maybe white or English a lot, but in a lot of other areas they'll put very specifically if they're Scottish, Irish, Italian. So it's more of their nationality which they would identify. Then we have their profession, occupation, they're married or widowed. If they're going to school, deaf, dumb, blind, and unsound mind. And then just the date of the information. So let's go up here. We're going to look at Gilbert. And this is interesting. You're going to see this is very common. Actually, in a lot of French communities, you also find Irish people. It's mostly because of the Catholicism. A lot of times they wound up going to the same areas. So we have Gilbert the father, but we're interested in Marguerite. Not Marguerite, sorry. Madeleine. Marguerite is the grandmother. So Madeleine is 7, and she's female, which is good. So no months. Now we're looking for her this would be her province or country of origin. So this here, so we look up Gilbert. He also is so he was born in Ontario, as was Madeleine. Their mother was born in Quebec. So Anne was born in Quebec. Marguerite was born in Quebec as well, who is the grandmother, I'm assuming, of the mother of Gilbert, I'm assuming, or Madeleine's grandmother. So, but all the children were born in Ontario. So I'm afraid that his presumption when he was looking at this particular person, when he was looking at her details, he's got the wrong person. He could have the right person, but he just might have the wrong facts about her. So this person was not born in La Chute, Argenteuil, Quebec, on January 17th, 1874. Based on that information, and again, I'm going to look at a couple of his other sources that he has here. So we have this one in 1895. So in 1895, if she was born in 1874, which she would have been 21. So we have a border crossing. Now, when we get the details on this border crossing, this is great. It has the original documents that we can look at. Okay. So we have, now they're called Magdalene, which is not it's not a necessarily wrong, but it's not a common, it's a different name. And we have her as being born in La Chute, Canada. Her age there is 44 years old. So this is not the person he thinks it is. Now, she has a brother, Joseph Brokema, and he's in Antwerp. And this is the name and address of nearest relative or friend in the country where the alien came from. Alien just meaning foreigner. So it says she's from Belgium. So we're looking, though she was born in Canada, it's quite possible her father and parents were Belgian citizens. But yeah, so we're looking there. I don't think this is definitely not the same person as in the census. And this person in 1895 was 44, so they were born in 1851. So it's not, these aren't accurate. And this is a common thing I find with family trees. A lot of people will take people and they'll have a name that they think looks right, and they'll use a source from there without always necessarily checking everything. I don't know, Nick, if you put this together yourself or these are taken from other family trees that people have. And we really need, when you're looking at family trees on shared sites, like Family Search in their collaborative trees and Ancestry to certain bit, you really need to be careful to make sure you're getting those accurate records and actually comparing things. The other thing is, when she was coming here, she was going to see a friend in at Croton on the Hudson, and their name was Scott Hayes. And purpose of the I'm coming is just says I don't know if that's supposed to be permanent or if that's fun. Anyways, she was 5'4". So this is not the same person as was born in 1874. So if he's looking for that person and believes that's her, well, that person was born in Ontario, not Quebec. So we really need to kind of look where we're at. Now you have Philomene was born. There's an entry for there. So let's look to see what we have there. In that entry, this is of course it's doing that to me. Oops. Okay. So we're going to look at that, and when it opens, let's see if it opens on the right page this time. No, it's not. So it's opening on page 1416. And there we go. So we have Ladouceur, Joseph Gilbert. So that could very well be part of a family, the name Gilbert. But so the name of the father and the maiden name of the mother. So that's where we're. So that's not the person you're looking for. So the person we're looking for on this record should be Joseph Jean-Baptiste Brokema. So not easily finding him there. So again, with these records here, they don't always come up accurate. So we might have to go to the page before or after, as they said. Let's see where. No, it's not finding it. Because at least if I can find it on here, on the bottom, there we go. We'd be able to take a look and see there and see what it says. So this is a birth record from Quebec. And again, date of birth, 1904. I'm assuming this is a child. This would be the year this is all is. So what are we looking for? The mother's maiden, it has all the information here actually. Mother's maiden, the mother's name. Again, this is in Ontario. So this is probably part of that, possibly that family that was in Prescott. Let's go back to this record here of this family. There's no Philomene there. So Philomene, I'm going to say these probably, I can buy that should be a U. But it's just, I I wouldn't be ready to say there's no indication that that is Madeleine's name, particularly in French communities. They often would go by a double name, and if they did, it would be listed somewhere in there. So let's see if that record, we can actually go to the page before and page after. So what's the date supposed to be? It's supposed to be 1903. So this is here. We're in 1904 up here. So this is way off. And this is an attack to anybody. So does that give her a date there? Doesn't give her date of birth. Let's go to, yeah. Sorry, it doesn't give his date of birth, does it? Sorry. I'm looking for him. Let's go back to the family tree here and look what they have in the details. The family. Yeah, I'm really thinking this is not the right person, because in Ontario they would have gone. Well, this was an Ontario birthplace, yeah. So in Ontario they would go by the father's name, not the mother's maiden name, unless she wasn't married for some reason. And the other thing is, when we looked at this, all these children have her name, which I'm thinking it's possible that one of the brothers here possibly is married to this Philomena, or it could be a cousin, but it's not this child. If they were born to a father, they would have kept his name. I can't see a reason why they wouldn't, especially since there's so many of them. It's not like they're that died in childbirth. There's no indication that she had another spouse. So we're looking there. We're really looking to try to dig things. Susan Planty there. So we're going to look at this record we have, right? There's no Susan here. The woman who would be, old enough to be the mother of the children is Anne, and that would be her because she's married. Again, I say Margaret's Gilbert's mother because she's widowed there. Yeah, so that's the thing, Nick. Yeah, definitely. I know, like Canadian records were. I know, and just from looking at these, we're looking at two different people. But the good thing is we narrowed some things down. We know for sure that we have a that you're looking for John. We're looking that who you have as his wife is not the accurate person. You had a question about when his wife and him moved to Canada. Well, his wife was born in Canada, in Quebec, in Ontario specifically, at least if that's the one from here. And it very well could be she could be the one from the census. Just some of the other records don't kind of add up to her. So let's look in general though. because you said they were in one of the things here in your things. You said they were in 1901 census. So let's look. We're just going to search the name there. Now, Nick, since you're here, is there? Oh, okay, Vanessa. Yeah, I will try to get a chance to take this for you and take a look at it. Yeah, it's very possible that their father could have been military. Let me see what I can find there, and I'll take a look, and I'll get back to you. So let's look for this name in the Canada Census. In fact, I'm going to go back to my. We're going to go back to modify our search, and we're going to actually search all Dominion of Canada, all the years. And I'm not going to put any ages there. I'm just going to search for that surname. We're going to search Ontario and Quebec. I can search other provinces. There are actually Dutch populations and throughout Canada, very specifically. Thank you very much, Vanessa. I appreciate it. There are Dutch populations throughout Canada. A lot of them are post-war Dutch people in Atlantic Canada specifically, though there are some pockets where there were older Dutch communities. So let's look, though, concentrate on Ontario and Quebec right now, and we'll take a look there. Also at West, there's a lot of Dutch people there. So I'm looking at name. I'm going to remove any gender there, and we're just going to make sure we have nothing else clicked off that we shouldn't. Actually, let's do all provinces and territories. So we're just going to search for that name. Is this the last name? And we're going to go and take a search. So it's not finding anybody there, Nick. You know if there is a variation in spelling ever? If there is, just put it in the chat there and I'll take a look for it. But right now, I'm not finding anybody in any of the Canadian censuses since Confederation. Henry Israel. Okay. Now, I actually know an Israel family. Well, a gentleman's part of an Israel family from Toronto. So let's take a look here. So we're going to modify the search, and we're going to look. What year approximately was he born, Nick? So Henry Israel. Take a quick peek here. Yeah, there's Israel's in Nova Scotia, Quebec. So there's a Henry Israel from Quebec. He was 62 years old. Sorry, he's in Manitoba. He was 62 years old in 1921. So that would have been made and born in 1859. There's an Henri Israel in Quebec who was 10 years old, so he would have been born in 1911. Now, there's an Henri in Ontario, born in 1911. In 1911, he was 5 years old, so he would have been born in 1906. And from your thinking, I don't think it's any of those. So 1853. Okay. I'm not going to put the birth date there just because the Canada Census is great for a lot of their things, the information, their search. One of the problems I find is where some of them have the year of birth, and um, some of them have the actual age, and so I found that it can sometimes mess that up. So we're going to look for Henri. So there we have this fella, Henrietta, Henry. So if he was born, you said 1853. Okay. So 1853, that could actually be, this would be, like I said, 1859 if he was living in Winnipeg. But you knew where he was when he was older, correct? So there's one that he was 1891, he was 18 years old. So he's probably a little too young still. So there's 11 Henris or variations of that. And he did travel through Canada, and you're not sure when he was in Canada. Where did he get married in 1901? Was it in Quebec, you said? Just in Canada, okay. Let me see here. So is this John M? Is that the person we're looking for who went by Jean Henry? So let's look up. We'll modify this, and we're going to look at everybody with J, and we'll do males. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so neither of these would appear to be it. Just, I would say he's not, just because he's in Ontario and his name's Albert. Um, and then we have Russell J. So, um, sorry, he's in Nova Scotia, yeah, and named Albert. And then we have Russell J. in Ontario. He's in sort of the right area, but definitely not him since he was only 18 in 1911. I doubt he got married at the age 8, and your ages are off that far. Um, Many different names: Dutch, French, and English. Yeah, that can cause problems. Um, so if we look at this person, what do we have here? So 1881. No, we're looking at her still. Sorry, let's switch to. And you just know he was married in Canada, and you think it was 1901. Okay. And he was married. Brockman. That. Okay. I'm assuming if he was married in 1901, he probably lived there at some point. Um, it's possible he left before the census and he moved there before after the last one, which is very very possible. Um, so you're having that he was married when he was 47, 48 years old. Okay, in 1901. Let's see. I think we're going to have a hard time finding him exactly. If we do you his I can't see any links you post. I can check there. They might be. Yeah, thank you very much, Vanessa. Appreciate it. Let me see here. He's in the census of the Canadian census in 1911. Okay. And there he is. Is that when he's listed as Brockman? Or do you have it in here in your sources for him? Sources. 1911 Census of Canada. Brokema. Okay, that could be it. See, the name there does make. Let's. Brokema. Brokema. Interesting. Okay, let's modify. Okay, if you send me an email, I'll check the email you sent me. Thank you very much. Because you do have here. So let's see what we have in the night in this one here. So at this point, he's showing is Madame Brokema. Okay. Okay. There we are. Because the good thing is the 1911 census is really good because it does have their exact birth dates. Um, So he was born in Belgium, and his wife was born in Ontario. So that original census, if you go way back to what I had originally, let me see if I can just go back there a ways. After this one, when I realized I didn't choose Ontario properly. So that very well could definitely be her, because that would match up for sure. It's then that crossing record is definitely not the right person. I would say that yeah, we're looking at somebody a little different. So she's the spouse. She's born in uh, January. She's married, born January 1873. She's 38 years old. She's born in Ontario. So up here, um, this census has the answer to your question. The year he immigrated in Canada and year of naturalization. So he entered Canada in 1875 and he became a Canadian citizen in 1902. Um, no, I won't show the email on the screen. Okay. In the marriage record, he's born in Holland, not in Belgium. Yeah. I'm trying to think is even the that could be a difference between when the actual Europe is in the 1800s was messed up because it changed borders a lot. So he could have been born in Holland. I don't know. I mean, it does definitely say he's Hollander. It's Dutch. And Dutch Catholic. So there's at least one of your questions. Yeah, you had the answer there. Is 1875 he came to Canada. 1902 he became a Canadian citizen. So he came to Canada when he was 22. And I would say, yeah, that is probably the same person here. Both in Ontario. So that's a. So let's see if I can find you sent in the email if I can find that marriage record. Do you send the marriage record in the? Um, let's see here. I'm trying to. Actually, it's probably in here. Since you sent it to me here. I'm just going to go open it. I'm going to duplicate this since and I'm just going to move forward there so I have that, so I'm looking at it. So let's look at some of his other sources. So let's see if we can have his marriage. So his marriage in Ontario, awesome. So Joseph, you think is his brother? Okay. Or is this? Sorry, no, this is a son. I apologize. I know there was a Joseph we thought was a brother there. So let's. Okay. Suzanne Planty. See, that's the one that would be. When we look at here, we have Anne and Gilbert. Interesting enough. Would that actually be mistaken and be Suzanne? Definitely in the right area. So this is the United Church in Prescott Russell. So there we go. Chateau Blondeau. It's where she lived and where she lived. Just Holland, Europe. So this is place of birth. And again, I mean, a person that's taking this, if they knew he was Dutch, they might just assume that's where he was born. There wasn't really a lot of proof you had to put in here. Names of parents, Benjamin, and I'm assuming it. Okay, at the bottom of the email is his son. Okay. I'm actually quite enjoying this. I don't do a lot of digging into Ontario always. So okay, so I'm just going to look at this here. Jean-Marie Israel Henry Benjamin. So yeah, their records are a little, I want to say weak in the sense that I do like the some of the other records I've seen also have the occupations of the parents. So he's a Stewart. Okay. Well, the good thing is, in the 1911 census, let's see what we got for him in there. And I'm actually going to we're going to go back to the census search. Now that we know we're searching Ontario, I just, this is a, yeah, why is it? I do not like that. It does not like that. I mean, because he's definitely there when we looked at this. Oh yeah, so we're looking in Quebec, in Beauce, which is around Bagotville. I mean, okay, so let's look in Quebec. Let's look BR. And we're gonna see what it says. What's his year of birth here? 1853. Has it's interpreting it as Brokema. That's the wonderful thing is people aren't familiar with names when they're trying to help and do and try to determine what that is. I mean, I could see where they might think that's two E's, but that's definitely an E. Like in here, I think the person thought it was an O, but I see that as an E, C. Yeah. So let's just see what else we have here. So we have all his stuff. Suzanne is a dollar, which would make sense. Often you'd name your daughter after your mother. Okay. And so where do we have, where were we looking now? We were looking at the marriage. Chateau. So he was living in Prescott. So he would have been living there in 1881. So let's go modify our search. Let's see if we can find him in 1881. We're going to look at there. And this is, let's just see what we're going to do. We're going to look for him in Ontario, specifically at that point. We're going to do Ontario, and I'm going to do I know he came in 1875, so let's do these here. Um, and they were married in Ontario in 1901, so I'm assuming he's probably there. He hadn't moved to Quebec yet, but possibly might have. So, okay, modify. And I can oh. He went by Jean. He also went by Henry. You said. And he said, okay, on the marriage record. So that's would be a different marriage record than this, though. So he was either married in Ontario or he was married in Quebec. Is it a marriage record or is it a marriage ban? Okay, let me check that email again and see if I can find that. Okay. You're talking about this in the book? Yeah, it's possible he could have left Belgium a year later. Some of this is people go by memory, I find. And the years kind of, even knowing their own ages, I don't think it was as important back then. I don't. Okay. So this is a Roman Catholic Church record. This is Prescott Russell. This is Ontario still. This is okay. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Madeleine. Combined with this bad handwriting and my lackadaisical. So this here is, I think, a marriage ban. So basically, where they um, and a lot of places like didn't have marriage licenses that we did now. So what they used to have to do, you could get a marriage license, or if you were having a church wedding, you could get it announced at the pulpit of the church. So Notre Dame. Okay. I'm just trying to find any reference to Montreal. I don't see there. I do see Notre Dame, but that's not the Notre. Oh no, no. The diocese. Okay, the Archdiocese of Montreal. So that's where they would have his church. So it's possible he had been living in Quebec. Um, de la Joson, yeah. So he was in Quebec, we think, at that point. Then, okay. So it looks like he probably came to Quebec first, and somewhere met Madeleine. But I would think since they got married in 1901 in Ontario, and they're found in the census in 1911 in Ontario, that he either relocated it there at some point. So, I'm going to modify this. It's. I think it's that birth date is really not liking it. Oh yeah, and let's modify it again just there to have it male. No, modify search. We'll make sure we're just search for male since we're looking for him. That'll maybe bring the numbers down a little. That brought it down to okay. So as you can see from the way we looked at the two census from the different places there, the names often I can see they're being mixed up. There's a Jean-Baptiste Brunet, and that's not it. Next. There's the 1911 record. We have them. So we're looking for anything that looks even partially to your name. He could call himself Israel. Okay, we'll search too. There wasn't a lot of Israels in Canada. I mean, when I looked through them, with no defining thing, that there wasn't a. And you think he would have went though by Henry or Jean if he was. There's son in the 1911 census. We're almost there. I don't think we're going to find him in the other ones. So it is quite possible. Yeah. Okay, so let's look up Israel then. Oh, there's 1911. It's repeated him twice. I find that with oh, I know why. Because I hit back, not forwards. Okay. and it's possible they have his name actually properly at that point, or closer to properly. Um, it's Henry Benjamin Israel. Okay, so he left for Antwerp, Belgium in 1884. Okay, let's go back to what we had on him actually when we were looking at this census record. So when we were looking at this, Jean, it says he was born 1853 in May. That one there is born in July. I would think you'd be more likely to forget the year than the month and have it wrong, in my experience. There's a lot of different reasons why I've seen people lie about the year of birth. Some is for marriage, so they could be of age. Some I've seen it. I had my great grandmother lied about from her passage from Scotland to Canada with her parents because in 1905, because it was if she would have had a real age as opposed to saying she was about a year and a half younger, her parents would have paid a higher fare for her. I wish they didn't have such a heavy pen. Occupation or trade, yeah. Yeah, so this guy, I don't know if this is like this fella does say he was in 1875. I can't see being that, but I mean, he could have gone back because he didn't become a Canadian citizen until 1902. Um, I'm wondering, just out of curiosity, I'm going to choose the later censuses. And we're going to see what we find. Because there's a little more information, and then as they. Okay. And we're going to modify, and I'm going to put his year of birth again. 1853, and I'm going to do the plus 1 or 2, just there we go, do 2. But let's search Brock. So let's search here, Brock. Modify search. So I'm not finding. what did we say they saw there? This was here. When we look back. Did they have it as Beekman? Brickman. Yeah. So. Who knows? Some other point they might have. He was in the U.S. Census of 1920. Okay. So we shouldn't find him in 1921 then. That would make sense. Okay. So I definitely think, though the mother's name is Anne here, maybe if her name was Suzanne, she went by Anne. That's quite possible. So she just used a more familiar name there, or the person that was doing it, going door to door, wasn't somebody that knew them and they went by the familiar name Anne. Whereas in your marriage records and stuff, you'd have your full name. That would make sense. So. Okay. But we can't find him anywhere sooner. I wish we could, because that would give us a good indication of. But we'll look. You said Israel as well. We'll search. So he became a Canadian citizen in 1901. So he would have had lived here for a few years. No. It's only 10. Again, it's the year of birth. But I don't want to get rid of that necessarily, just because that will leave us too high. I really like using the census to try to narrow things down. It's good to give you that. So we have 830. So we're going to modify it definitely. And we're going to go, let's try. So we know the one that calls him Brickman. So we only find them in the 1911 census, and his son under Brokema. So let's modify search, and we'll do. Let's do Israel. I have no Jean. Did he go by John? Possibly. Well, there we go. We have somebody in 1871, a John Israel in Quebec, but the census said he came in 1875, and this would make him a little. If he was 20 in 1871, born in 1851 or 1852. Let's just see what we find on this guy. And he goes to Church of England, so it's probably not him. That's why I like using the actual census record sometimes better than, because it's easier to want to go to look for him. He's on line 11. So is that Israel? Yeah. Yeah. So this is, so we have John is 20. So this person's from Scotland. I don't think he's the person you're looking for. So Jane was born in Quebec. And searching. She's Irish. And this John here, Israel, if that's what this name is, identifies himself as a blacksmith. Now, I'm just going to check here. When I looked at his record, what do we say? He was on page 18. Make sure 18 should have been the first one. Yeah. So we're looking at the right person there. So that's definitely not him. His gravestone says born in 1855. Yeah. It's funny where it seems to be a rare surname when at least in Canada when I look, and I'm assuming it's probably equally as rare, especially at that time in the United States. That there probably is not too many of them there, but it's the looking at the different names they went by. Okay. We can definitely, yeah. I think I'm barking up the wrong trail here right now. He's the first Canadian Brokema. Okay, but then he left Canada and went to the United States. Was there brothers that stayed in Canada? Because that would just be interesting. Because if that's the case, did his brother come over here with him at the same time? Yeah, we looked up Henry Israel earlier, wasn't it? Well, this could be him. This here's not him. I don't think it this be birth date 1849. but there seems to be some Brokemas or Israels who lived here. So this would give him a birth date of 1854, if this is the same person. But he's married. Do you know if he was married previously? Then their family 60. So this fellow's Lutheran from Germany. So and a farmer. But he sort of fits the right profile. Plays birth father, Germany, mother of Germany. He was born in Ontario. So yeah, I don't think this is it. He probably married a German wife before in London, England. Augusta Catherine. Yeah. Yeah, this is an Annie. Yeah, this is interesting. But yeah, this one says he was born in Ontario and his parents were born in Germany. He's Lutheran. So I don't think this is the person we're looking for. Yeah, and there's no Jean Israel. Boy, Henri. Henrietta. No, none of these are the people we're looking for. Because this guy's way too young in 1911, and plus we know that he was going by a different name, different in the census there. So chances are he did come into Montreal, and you think he went from England before he came to Canada? And we said 1875. Let's see. That's quarantine report. So no, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, let's look at some of the immigration records in Canada, see if we can find anything. So we're going to go collection. You got me stumped here a little. Possibly Antwerp. Okay. Oh, there is a. Let's see here. No. I'm looking for the citizenship here. So this is what I would suggest you might want to do if you're trying to find a little more detail about him coming to Canada. And I'm sure they're as slow as searching other things. So we know he was 1902. That's Montreal Circuit Court. That's one place. Oh, let's see. Search the database. Okay. Yep. Okay. So which record is it? We're going to go advanced search. Okay. So do you think he would have when he came to Canada, he would have used the Israel name. Let's look at the proper name first. That's what we're searching here. Ooh. And we have we'll try Belgium first. If that doesn't work, we'll do the Netherlands. And we might try Israel as well. Oops. He went from Judaism to Catholicism, so that's a big switch. Okay, let's search Israel. See, it doesn't have the Netherlands here. Interesting enough. It doesn't have Holland. It does have Belgium. So I'm going to try this one last time. Doesn't give me. No, I was seeing if it gave me more options there. I mean, this is assuming you went through Montreal, which you might not have. So yeah, there is a way you can actually you can go and you can request more information. I mean, we have enough information that we can find some things. Yeah, that would have been nice if we would have been able to find them in there. But you can actually apply, and basically they'll do a manual search. I'll tell you here how the so this is there's a fee to it and the processing time. 13 months is a kind of long wait. $75 to search for the records. Another person. Again, since you're looking for something really old, you really need you're gonna want to see. The other thing is we try to check a couple passengers lists and see if we can find any John or Jean Brokemas or Israels that went from Europe around the 1875 period. Knowing he probably did land in Montreal or Quebec City, possibly even land in Halifax, but I'd say it's probably more likely he landed in one of those two places. And he so it does help narrow it down. It could even land in Kingston as well. I don't know. They had much immigration ships that were dropping off immigrants, but Montreal was a big port, and so was Quebec City as well for immigrants going Quebec and further west. Halifax later in the 20th century, early 20th century, mid 20th century, was basically like Americans, Ellis Island type thing, where a lot of immigrants. That's where they would have landed. Is Halifax was a major port, so so anybody coming with ship usually landed there. There were a few other smaller places in Nova Scotia they would land to, but most of those would have been a lot of the Scots and the Irish, and they were going to specific communities where there were already other Scots or Irish people that established communities. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to dig some more into this. I do find this really interesting, Nick. But I am going to let you go because I'm going to end this stream in a minute because this is getting a little late. I've been at this for an hour and a half now, and we'll see what we can dig up. I do really want to try to get you some answers, but we narrowed down a few things. A couple of your records there they have a family search. You probably want to go through them and make them eliminate them, or like that immigration record for Magdalene's definitely not Madeleine. The age is all wrong, and location of birth is wrong, and it's wrong what matches up with the census records and matches up with the marriage records as well. if we do you have the death certificate, the death registration of let's see, what do you have here? You have the birth. Okay. So you have a crossing, which kind of makes sense. He might have crossed a number of times, so death index. Death. Okay, so this is fine the grave. Let's see what we have. Death 1921. So New York City. Okay, so we went to New York. Were we able to find an obituary? So those are great sources of information there. Okay, so that doesn't give you a lot of information. So that's just basically a list of people that died. So let's see. So that may or may not be the right person. Where does it say he was going here? Let's have the crossing. So this is 1918 crossing. Okay. So 64 years old, 1918. That'd be the right age. Says he's a farmer. He's Flemish, which is French. Yep. He came from. So he's going to that place that Magdalene was, but that Magdalene was not definitely not the same person. So, just because of the age in 1895. Grenville. There's a Grenville in Quebec, I think. The village whereabouts in Quebec is. Yeah, it's on the border, which. On the Ottawa River. Tim Hortons there. There's one everywhere. Where were they living in this census when we had them here? I'm trying to think what censuses we find him in. Okay, let's look in here and see where he was living back there. Granville. So same, yeah. That definitely looks like it might be him. Um, but now there he's Flemish, not French. Um, in the 1911, I can't remember the 1911 Canadian census. I know a couple of them that have if you have a mother tongue other than English. Let's just see here. Again, they might not have. No, they didn't. It's usually there. Um, so it doesn't. It's usually in near the education portion and the other census. I know in 1901, 1891, they have it there. 1901 and yeah, 1891, I think they have the mother tongue language commonly spoken. So what line is he on? He's on family 7, so family 7. Yeah. Yeah, nothing there. So doesn't look like they got that information from anybody. Um, Anglais, Français, and that might be Dutch there, and I don't know if that is Flemish as well. Usually in these records I found it was just one, so yeah, in these last columns over. But there's one specifically in 1901 and 1891, I think it asks what your mother tongue is. This one just here asked which languages are commonly spoken. Um, so there is like I said, he's got a little bit more there. There's something that says Holland, and I don't know if that's Flemish or I can't make it out what's there, but Anglais, Français. So by Holland, I'm assuming they mean Dutch, because they called him Hollandaise, not Dutch. But yeah, so we know there sort of his immigration information, which is good to know when he came to Canada. So you should be able to find some other records for him, whether like if he had any other family before them somewhere else. Actually, where's the marriage registration? Usually it would tell them if he was a widower. If he was divorced, he didn't get married in a Catholic church. Uh, yeah. It's the Archdiocese of Montreal. This says here that we're getting married in Notre Dame in Archdiocese of Montreal. Yeah. I'm not that familiar with. It's possible the Archdiocese of Montreal took in that part of Ontario as well. Um, man of age. Okay. Yeah. Hollandaise is Dutch for France. Makes sense. Just I know all my Dutch friends are very clear that Holland is a province of the Netherlands, not a country. Though I think at that period it might have been a country. Was the Netherlands what it is now? Um, yeah, if he was a widower, there would be widower in there. I don't see that. If he was divorced, chances are he wasn't getting married in the Catholic Church. Um, Especially if he was a Jew who was divorced. Um, I would think I would tend to find in that case more definitively probably they would have been married in a um in a with a divorce he would have been married, yeah, in a not in a civil ceremony most likely. um yeah, so it's all in French. Yeah. Jean-Marie Israel. So Jean-Marie Israel Brokema. So and Benjamin Brokema, I don't know if this is and his wife's name. Looks like um, Donica, Annika. So yeah, Henrika, maybe. Definitely not the neatest writer I've ever seen. Um, so yeah, so this is just a marriage ban. So um, yeah. Yeah, it's just that first letter. It looks more like an A to me, but it could be an H. Um, I don't. There's no other capital A. I mean, I could look, I guess, on the page somewhere else, and we could see if we could find a capital H in anybody's names that like that looks like an H. So I don't know if that's like his H's do look different. Um, okay. Oh yeah, definitely he could lie. Um, just especially if come from another country who knows what they believe, but chances are, yeah, he wasn't a widower. He wasn't divorced, anyways. Um, could have been a widower, but if you think he was married previously. Um, so I'm going to look for more, see what I can find in Canada, and I'll send you an email. Um, it also this is Brokema. Yeah, that again. Is that an E or is that um, you know that just has Brokema? I mean that's very bad writing. There, I guess there it is. Definitely BR. Well, again, that's an Ockema, or is that an E? Is that a U? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a O, but um, just looking there, and again, this is the person writing it down. So if he said his name is Brokema, um, the person might be writing it phonetically how they thought it was spelled, um, and it could be that when he came into Canada again, that's what's on his papers. Um, yeah, but this band would have been written by this the clerk in the church. Um, so as you can see, they're all pretty much the same writing here. That one does look a little different, but I think it's just he was trying to get as much crammed in there because part of it looks very similar and part of it looks a little different. But yeah, I that would not have been his handwriting. And there's, um, so again, people are gonna spell it possibly how he sees it, or if it was written that way on any documentation he had. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna end up here. Um, I am gonna take a look at a few other things, but what I'll do is I'll try to get a hold of you through the coming week, Nick, and we'll see what we can do to figure out this a little better. Um, I like I said, if I was you, I'd go and straighten out a few of the things in the family search family tree just to double check the sources. Um, I I know my practice is sometimes I'll use two family trees, one which is my definitive one and one's my working one, um, where I'm trying to put that information in and sort of um, and sort of track it, just because there is oftentimes things where you're not sure, you're pretty sure, but there's a few things there that definitely show a couple of those records aren't necessarily right, which then can, if you base other things on those, that can cause some issues as well. So I'm going to let everybody go. I thank you for coming in and watching today, all you who dropped by. Thank you, Vanessa Bland, who's another genealogist. She's from Australia. She was popped in the chat there, and she was asking some questions about relatives from, she believes, Ontario. So I'm going to look into that for her this week as well. Again, I'll try to be back probably about the same time next week. It seemed to work good. I know it's a little late for you, Nick, but I'll try to get a hold of you through the week and drop you a line and see what we can do and what else we can find for you. Again, you can if you're watching this on the replay or you came in late to this, you can definitely use the link to the form and ask your question, and I will answer it. Until then, have a great day and keep searching for your ancestors.
Things change, farewell, my friend. Things change, farewell.